Thought Cops, the only podcast where every week we police the mean streets of the internet because, hey, somebody's got to do it. And then we let you be the judge, the jury, and the executioner in the court of public opinion. Coming to you live from Nikocado, I am Officer Kevin.
Turning down the volume, I am Officer Grant. Boy, am I glad that my left headphone is in to block off most of that sound. How you doing?
Pretty good. Just shine a little dot on my head. If you guys want to see this at home, this is pretty incredible stuff.
This is amazing.
Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Just go ahead and type Thought Cops in the search bar. It's the same episode if you listen to it, but on the video version, you can see me put a little laser dot all over my face.
It's incredible.
Yeah. How you doing, Grant?
I'm good.
Okay, that's cool.
Let's get to the part with the guest part.
Well, let's thank the guest from last week, Adam Gilbert. Let's do that.
I love putting down the mic to clap into the mic. This week
on Thought Cops.
This week on Thought Cops, we have Anders Lee. How you doing, Anders?
Hey, Anders Lee here. Good to be with you.
How is
and also with you.
Of course.
How's it over there in New York?
I am a little update to the Pod Damn America Extended Universe. I'm actually now living in Washington, D.C.
What?
Never mind.
Wow.
That's all right.
Neo
I wish I was living
DC.
in New York, Stark. Well, you know what? Maybe New York was D.C. and New York just expanded all the way down the eastern seaboard and swallowed up D.C., Philly, Baltimore. That could happen.
That sounds like what's going to happen, you know? Just like a cyberpunk hell, like the entire East Coast became the slums of New York City.
The sprawl.
Yeah.
You know, New York was at one point the capital before we had a capital.
You know what I call East Coast? Right. Skid Row. The whole thing's New York City now. But Anders, we're rounding out the whole trio, basically. We've had Jake Flores on this show. We've had Alex Patak on this show. And I'm sitting here thinking, where the heck is Anders Lee? And here I am looking at him.
I'm always the last one on that. Always happens that way. For whatever reason.
You feel like you're the last one, like picked for dodgeball?
Yeah, in a way, yes. Picked up for other podcasts. Well, that's not totally true. It's usually true, but I'm not offended. I shouldn't have said that. I got things off to a weird start. Making that comment.
Anders, if I ever start another podcast, I'll be sure to invite you first. But I'm pretty busy with this one right now. But if I had another one, I would invite you first.
All right, I'll hold you to it.
So, you being a fellow podcaster, you didn't let the whole pandemic slow you down. You guys kept at it. You kept cracking at that microphone and what other stuff can I mention?
Microphones.
Zoom account. I got a Zoom account.
Zoom. Okay.
I started one because the other guys no one was sending the room, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a Zoom account and shelled out too much money. But
do you have to pay for Zoom accounts?
If you want a good one, or if you want the ability to start and continue meetings that last more than
if you want it to function and work properly, it sounds like you gotta put down some cold hard cash.
That's right.
I wonder if we should get a Zoom account.
No, I don't want to do that. I want to. We're getting along just fine.
Probably make things easier. I mean, I do prefer ultimately podcasting in the same room as people, but the other guys we've kind of adapted to. Since I moved, we've adapted to using Zoom. So it is a nice innovation to have. I'm sorry, this is probably the most boring content to anyone who's not a podcaster.
That's too bad for them.
Let's talk about Anders. What do you like to set your noise gate to before recording?
7.
7, okay. You know,
I don't even know what that is, but you know,
we like to set ours a little bit lower because I come in pretty hot at the beginning, kind of loud. You know, it kind of feeds back if you don't do that. Anyway,
it's true.
Yeah. Let's talk about some other stuff, Grant.
Let's talk about some other stuff. So, Anders, how long have you been a part of the Pod Damn circle? Because I remember before there was like a sort of a merger with a couple podcasts with that, right? There was like the Left Jest and the Poddamn people sort of came together.
Wow, I'm shocked that you are even aware of Left Jest. That's a deep cut.
I feel like
Alex Patak and
I feel like y'all ended around the same time that we started Thought Cops. I feel like that's probably true. That's
okay.
The timeline sort of line up in that regard.
Yeah, basically, so we it started as an online radio show in 2016, Left Chest. Me and a friend of mine, it was this online radio station called Capus, which is still a really cool place, but they had an alley. They had like it was an alley with like basically a garage or like a series of little like rooms in an alley in Bushwick, and one of them was an online radio station, and that's where we started doing Left Jest, and then eventually we moved it over to podcast format to try and pick up more listeners, and that didn't work too well. And then eventually we were absorbed by Mr. Jake Flores, who was, trying to do Poddamn America mostly by himself, and he needed a couple new hands. So it was me, Alex Patak, and the late Raghav Mehta who joined up with him in like late 2017, early 2018.
I am curious. You mentioned online radio show. What exactly is the differentiation between an online radio show and a podcast?
Well, I guess the only one is that the online radio show stays online. It doesn't go on a podcast feed. So that was one of the issues. We couldn't really and that does work for like music and stuff. Like there were a lot of cool shows on there. People would just like host, like do DJ stuff that, add in a little comment here and there and play their old tunes.
Sure.
But it's a little more difficult for like an interview, news, content, comedy show. So we wanted to make sure people had a downloadable item. So we had to switch over to podcasting.
You got it, man. Yeah. I mean, you say the word radio in front of a Zoomer, they turn tail and start screaming. They're scared of that stuff. That's antiquated.
Right.
It is like scary to explain to young people in general. I remember when first hearing about, because my dad worked in radio, and hearing about there's amplitudinous modulation and there's waves. Like there's literally right there in, I'm trying to remember CPR, whatever Chicago's radio station is. There are radio waves in the room with you and with me too, just like floating around and going through my skin and stuff. Like that's a lot to process, right?
That's why Alex Jones has gone crazy. He hears them. He hears what's going on.
Well, it sounds like it made you a better broadcaster. You were born in it, basically. You come from a lineage of broadcasters. You physically had the radio waves. Like you're sort of like an Incredible Hulk of podcasting.
We merely adopted the podcast, whereas you were molded into it by.
I mean, for me personally, nobody cared who I was until I picked up the mic.
Yeah, I would say that's also true of me. I mean, my father, this is the reason I started to hate NPR. I have a vendetta against them for political reasons, but also because they kicked me to the curb very ungraciously in the early 2000s. He got laid off several times in public radio. So that was my radical. So basically that set a seed in me to get back at public radio, and that's what I've been trying to do.
I mean, that's, I feel like Poddamn America. It's like everybody, at least at this point, knows the name. People know the branding and stuff like that. And you're also involved in sort of like, do you do like writing and bits and stuff for Redacted Tonight? In addition to that, I was sort of reading a little bit about that, but I'm unfamiliar with what exactly Redacted Tonight is, other than a YouTube channel.
Yes. It is a television show on the RT America Network, which is I'll bite the bullet, funded by the Russian government. That's who pays my bills. Russian state media. It's sort of like a more lefty daily show. So I do segments for them. That's kind of my day job, and I do
Cool.
PDA as well. Yep.
It's a cooler day job than our
Sidekick
day
at both.
jobs. Shit.
Yeah.
What are your day jobs?
I work on my office address is no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we do just the jobs that other people don't want to do. The dirty jobs, you know.
Okay. Mike Rowe.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
I
him
have
too, we also have
a
bad politics.
Yes, I'm familiar with those kind of jobs. There was a long stretch of time where I was trying to hack it as a podcaster and comedian while also serving people guacamole and delivering food and bottling whiskey and all that shit. So.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, but I mean, it seems like you've done pretty well for yourself. I think so. You played the Edinburgh Festival, right?
Yes, I've done it a couple of times. Yeah,
couple of times. I wonder because I think I might have been in Edinburgh around the same time.
Oh, that's right.
As you, like in 2019.
Oh. Yeah, I was there.
That's crazy.
Hell yeah. I was there for one night, right at like the beginning of it, and then I flew out.
Okay.
But I mean, there's so many like big names overseas. Maybe not some people that have sort of trickled in over here, but I mean, some of my favorite comedians have like played that festival. I mean, that's got to be crazy to be a part of that, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of big names and there are a lot of small names, such as mine. It's so many performers. I mean, COVID has kind of changed everything, and I don't really know what it's like now. I think they did try to do it again in person in 2021, but it's mayhem, basically. It's like hundreds of shows going on at the same time, and you have to scramble to get audiences. And I've had, the worst year was the first year. It was absolutely dreadful. And then I came back and had a great year, and then capped it off in 2019 with a mediocre year. So it runs the gamut. I would say it's worth doing. If you're a comic and you want to do an hour, that's a great way to like throw yourself into it.
Cool.
Do an hour every day for an entire month, right?
Right. You will go insane. Absolutely. Especially, and don't do what I did, which is invite the Italian anarchist you're dating to come stay with you in the living room you're sleeping in for a month. That was pretty bad, but
duly noted
experience, you know? Yeah.
That's awesome though. Yeah,
I
remember a lot of the hostels were just like, yeah, I'm a professional juggler just trying to make it. Just like, wow, you're trying to make it as a professional juggler by just doing this festival. It's like there's a ton of crazy shit out there. A lot of like really fucking interesting stuff though too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah. And all kinds of shows. I didn't see a ton of dance when I was there, but there's dance and there's theater. Saw a few great plays and comedy. And it's all kinds of comedy. There is stand-up, but it is kind of known as the solo show festival. And there's a lot of that. And that's ultimately what I ended up doing. I went the first time and tried to just do an hour of stand-up. And you need a theme of some kind. So then I came back with a theme and had a better experience. But there's really everything. Yeah. People think of like, because of Edinburgh, they think, oh, the rest of Europe and especially the UK, it's all a bunch of like, whiny solo show, one-man show stuff. And there is that, but there's also just regular stand-up.
Right.
That's, just as good as it is here.
I mean, I always associate it with like Eddie Izzard and like James Acaster and like some of my like all-time favorite comedians have like come out of doing shows there and shit. So.
Yeah, I think Eddie Izzard, maybe he also had a show, but and he would do this in addition to it to get audience, but he would just like go out on the sidewalk and talk.
Yeah.
And just like riff. And
we got to try that out.
Developed.
Yeah, he, I remember, because I think he had like a Netflix documentary a couple years ago and it was like Believe or something like that. And he was talking about his whole experience and he would he taught himself how to ride like a giant unicycle and then juggle and then do just like his act, just do jokes.
We got to do that.
And then be like, oh, and also come to my show. And it just like it fucking worked for him.
You see, that's how we got to get listeners. We got to learn how to ride a unicycle.
That's maybe that'll be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone should ride one.
You got to try it at least once.
Unis?
I'm not a uni rider myself. Not yet. No.
Bicycle, but
that's kind of baby stuff, isn't it?
I mean, people are impressed by jugglers and unicyclers, and I do them both the other way around. Like, I do a unicycle, but with 2 wheels, I juggle with 1 ball, and don't get the credit I deserve for that. Innovation.
I would agree. Yeah, kind of simplifying what was maybe some would call a very complicated process. You know, like juggling. I'm not supposed to. All these balls are flying around in the air. I can't keep track of that kind of crap. Throw one around. Right. Do a good job throwing one around. You got my attention.
Right.
Speaking of
harder than you think.
One ball is harder than you think. That's what I always say.
Yeah, that's what Lance
Armstrong.
No, the dragon trainer. In
I thought you were going for a
no, because he'd always have 6 Pokemon, and it's like 1 ball. You know?
Didn't Lance Armstrong have testicular cancer? Was it?
Yeah, she had 1 ball.
Too soon.
Too soon. Oh, I forgot my rubber yellow bracelet at home that I wore every day since 2004. Anyway, we got some new stuff online on our end. If you want to, like I said, hit us up on YouTube, youtube.com, search for Thought Cops. We got a new episode of Re-Educationing out where Grant goes into great detail about the movement known as NoFap. So if you'd like to know about NoFap,
it's the drunkest I've ever been.
I could agree with that. Yeah,
I do feel like I've started working on a new re-educationing, and I've moved a little bit beyond the whole. I feel like each one I would get a little more drunk, and I feel like that one sort of tipped the top of the top that I needed to be tipped.
The tippy top.
And everything past this now, I'm going full bread tube, baby. It's all going to be serious topics from now on.
Wow.
I got set design, I got costumes. It's going to be great, but yeah. Re-educationing on YouTube. Check it out. NoFap.
And you can also check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/ThoughtCops. We're streaming again, baby. Like I said before, no set schedule, but we're on there when we feel like it. So subscribe to us, hit the notification icon, and you won't miss a beat. But without further ado, let's get on to a very famous, very favorite segment of the show called 2 Minutes of Hate. We like to blanket punish all that annoying random crap that we see on our phones and our computers every single day of the week. Folks, my 2 minutes of hate this week is being distracted by how addicting the internet is, you know?
Whoa.
You guys ever, I know, Anders, you said you lived in New York for a while. How's the public transit system down in D.C.? Is it any good?
Yeah, I actually took it today, and it's it runs better than New York, although good and bad thing. It is they make you do your card on the way in and the way out.
Oh, that's stupid.
I think excessive.
Oh, yeah.
It is. However, it's very easy to just stand behind somebody and whoop and sneak out because of the things that the separators stay, on the side for a long time. So you can, as long as you stand behind somebody, then you can do it for free.
You got a nice big grace period. So I'm talking, we got the CTA here in Chicago, the Chicago Transit Authority. I believe that's what.
Oh, is this why you were late? You were distracted.
I was on my phone. I was already running kind of late, and I was on my phone. And this has never happened before. I'm already running late for the episode. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. I'm making Anders wait. I'm making Grant wait, and I'm on my phone. And I'm like,
I thought you were just doing a power move.
No, this has never happened.
Big time.
Like the one time I've been like running late, I'm like on my phone, and I'm like, I realized I missed my stop. So then I got off like a stop or two after, and I had to like power walk back here to get here because I was on my phone the whole time. I was watching all my favorite Nikocado Avocado
God damn it.
videos on YouTube. No, I'm not. I kind of seeing what's going on with him. I guess he's disabled now or whatever. He's eating a bunch of fried chicken or something, and now that's his whole kind of whole thing. So I'm just on my phone scrolling, and I'm like, oh shit. I guess
you were late for an episode of this very important show because you were watching Nikocado Avocado.
Yes, that is correct.
Dude, I'm so fucking angry.
But here we are. You know, we made it work. I made it work. I got here. I sat down on the couch and I said, let's go, baby. I'm ready.
You know what I like about, Anders, what I like about the DC Metro, the underground, is the big tunnel. You go in the big tunnel. It's just a big fucking tunnel. It just goes all the way down. The vertical tunnel. Limitless.
Right.
That tunnel never ended.
I live right by that, actually. It's an insanely long or tall escalator.
Huge.
It takes, if you were to walk it, if it was just stairs and if it shut down or something, that it would take days.
No one's ever done it. People have died trying.
A worthy endeavor, I suppose. But speaking of worthy endeavors, being late for the bit, how about that? Isn't that great? Isn't that funny? How about that dedication, folks? Anyway, my punishment is, I guess, I don't get reception on the train home tonight because I was running late and I made myself miss my stop. And I'm punished because I was too addicted to my phone and I missed my stop. So then now when I go underground on my way home tonight, I don't get to look at my phone because I won't get reception. I won't be able to see anything. All I'll be able to focus on is the my fellow Chicago citizens blasting cigarettes inside the train car.
Why? That's gotten like more prominent since COVID.
It has,
it's gotten really bad.
Has.
Every single fucking train car I'm ever in is just like 8 people have been chain smoking in it.
World's going to hell. Who gives a fuck?
Oh, well.
Anders, what's your 2 minutes of hate, my man? What do you got? Anything bothering you? You want to get off your chest?
Oh, there's so much on computer that makes me mad. The one-upsmanship or the one-up-personship on my corner of Twitter. But one thing that, and I'm going to be provocative here, and this will, I think, maybe be good for you guys.
Hey, I'm ready to be provoked myself, so let me have it.
Okay. What really annoys me, and I've started to try and be more amused by it than irritated, but autism self-diagnoses on Twitter are very annoying.
Any kind of self-diagnosis is like everybody's a fucking expert, and then it's like if somebody if you call somebody out for that, it's like, well, how dare you, and it's like,
yeah.
I get there's barriers to entry for getting the insurance, Medicaid, to get see a qualified professional who can diagnose you. But I'll let you continue because I've got a lot to say on this myself.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's it's a very ill-defined thing, and I've gone off about this many a time. I'm autistic, which is probably shocking.
Define technically.
On paper, I got a diagnosis when I was a little kid, just for being stupid. That's what it meant, Now it means something. Well, it's always changing. That's what people don't realize is there's no fixed autism that means anything. It's anything and everything and nothing at the same time. Like the
goalposts are being moved. I feel like, and all,
right. And so recently, I see somebody saying like, "Oh, I finally realized after I got my autism diagnosis today, my roommate asked me, "Oh, did they mention your obsession with the color purple?" And I was like, "Oh, you're right. Yeah, my purple plate and my purple shirt that I'm wearing." I'm no expert. I'm not a doctor, but I might think that person has a condition called having a favorite color that is purple.
Yeah, I never knew that Prince was on the spectrum.
That explains
that's been.
I was gonna say he didn't want a name anymore. He just wanted a symbol. That explains
it explains a lot.
Right.
We've figured out
It explains a lot.
But, yeah, you can literally take anybody and talk about why they're autistic and never be proven right or wrong about it.
Yeah.
You know, like you name a celebrity and I'll tell you why they're autistic.
Yeah, I do feel like the past couple years I've been seeing more and more of that type of like rhetoric sort of be brought up, which I think in part is sort of a good thing because it's like we're more tolerant of people, we're more accepting of people, we're more understanding of the idea that like not everyone is like exactly the same. And there's some people.
Hey, Grant, it's not one size fits all.
It's not one.
I'm always saying that.
And there's a little bit of, you know, colors in between. There's 50 Shades of Grey, for instance.
Purple.
And I think that a lot of that's good, but I think, yeah, as like a byproduct of that, you do have a lot of people that are like, oh, this fits me now. And it's like, I don't know if that necessarily like, you know, fits everyone. Like, I don't know if that's your experience.
You guys know how I'm always asking to get pizza? That's
Spectrumite. No, I mean, and that important caveat before anybody, you know, bites my head off for being a troll. There are people who have a lot of like very serious issues that they need help with.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Lumping all of those issues with, you know, liking purple or not liking blue or like liking pizza or knowing too much about Cincinnati, as was the case with me. That's not helpful. Like you're just making this big mat, and there's no clear delineation between what is an autistic person and what is a not autistic person. That's what I've never seen explained, is who are the people who are supposedly not autistic. Like,
yeah, I feel like there's like this. There was this kind of like I don't know if I would say it's like a running bit with a lot of people where it's like I feel like every is it me or does it seem like every comedian has a bit now where they're like, yeah, I'm probably on the spectrum.
Yep,
I know that
drives me crazy.
That was like a thing with Seinfeld, and he sort of had to walk that back.
He started it, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I think I might be on the spectrum a little. I read about it, and I think, oh, that must be me. And then people were like, are you really? And he was like, no,
I'm obsessed with Superman. I can't stop talking about him.
No, you know what he is, and I got this from watching comedians in cars with, you know, boys or whatever.
Yeah.
But he is insulated. He is a deeply wealthy and alienated from the rest of society type person. Like he has, and it comes out in the way he talks to like servers and all that stuff. Is, you know, being insanely wealthy makes you
autistic. Oh, I'm sorry, psycho.
I mean, yeah, like
not that they're the same. Yeah.
There is a level to that yeah, I mean I feel like especially the pandemic really sort of like created a lot of delineation between those two things, because I feel like we keep seeing this more and more with certain celebrities where they try and reach out and they try and like create this bridge between them and us. And
they gotta stop doing that. We're the
same, and they keep creating these videos where they sing "Imagine" at us, and it's like, This is not your this. This is, you do live in another world. Like, this is what we're all experiencing, is that you guys are just, you're different than us, but you're different than us in the fact that like you just don't know what it is to like clock in at a fucking job that you fucking hate, you know?
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's an important point. And, you know, like I said, I really do think that we need more services for people who have issues with whatever, you know, it's just, you know, social skills or more serious developmental issues. But like lumping everybody together as quote unquote autistic, especially given the history of the diagnosis, which comes out of, you know, eugenic fascism, basically. I think we would be better off without it. So that's my 2 minutes of hate. So my punishment would be if somebody thinks they're autistic for, you know, liking, what's the silly thing, rutabaga, then they go to They have to go to a doctor, and the doctor will say, "Oh, we actually just changed the criteria, and that makes you really not autistic." Rutabaga is it's impossible for someone who likes rutabaga to be on the spectrum. So you're off.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, isn't there, speaking of like the history of that, isn't there like a weird thing you sort of touched on, like the weird eugenic-y sort of nature of that?
Yeah.
Isn't there like, there's a reason why people prefer to use autism now over Asperger's, right?
Well, Asperger's was like kind of, it was kind of different. It was different a little bit, or it was like just like a fringe autism or whatever. But now it's like they don't.
There's like an etymological issue with the word or something that I'm not.
Oh, is Dr. Asperger a Nazi or something?
Probably.
Yes, he was. I mean, effectively, he was. Yeah.
With a name like that?
The fact that it's right. I'm about to say, like, I think that's another strong reason why people would want to not be associated with having Asperger's. Sounds like a hemorrhoid. But yeah, he was a doctor. He was somebody who was like kind of in the same sense that the dude who made the trains run on time, who got the banality of evil guy. Like he was just kind of doing his job.
I got a bone to pick with that guy, by the way.
You have a bone to pick with Benito Mussolini.
The guy who made you said the trains run on time? Yeah.
Trains. I'm forgetting his name. Eichmann. Yeah. Because he was like, hey, I didn't kill anybody, but he did, facilitate people being killed. So that's why they call it the banality of evil. And Asperger actually did send people he knew were going to be killed. But it was this category that later on kind of morphed into quote unquote Asperger's. Just somebody who was like smart but had behavioral issues.
Sure.
In school or whatever. But the thing we really need to get past, I think, and this is why I bang this drum, is that there is not, you don't open up somebody's brain and see a little knob that's autism, right? That's not what it is. It's a malleable diagnosis. It's always been shifting, always been changing. It's not a physical, actual phenomenon. It's the way we categorize people for having different cognitive limits and things that
or preferences of colors or
right.
Yeah, and there is that level, where it's like I don't know. Anyway, I got caught up.
Hell yes, I agree, man.
This is
the mental limitations, because I feel like that's a good segue into my 2 minutes of hate. Mental limitations. I never want to see a fucking photograph of Nikocado Avocado again in my fucking life. Anders, do you know what Nico? I hate to even mention this.
I actually don't even know how you say his name.
Don't know who or what this is. I don't want you to look it up. But I have to explain it.
Because I was going to ask, but yeah, if you could explain it, I would appreciate it.
You're unfamiliar.
So he's this guy. He was a food YouTuber.
I do know avocados, though. I eat
avocados, a great, what is it, a fruit or a vegetable?
It's got a seed, so I'm assuming it's a fruit.
Okay.
Maybe it's a culinary vegetable. These terms
really?
are...
Botanical. Yes. Yeah. Botanically, it's a... fruit, I think. Yeah.
But the guy, he was a promising young man, handsome, fit young guy.
He was like a violin virtuoso.
Yes.
He was like a savant, actually, when it came to like violin playing.
And
he's actually pretty good, I think.
He chose instead to focus on a YouTube channel in which he eats food.
He literally, all he does is kill himself and ruin his life with food.
Probably about 500 pounds now. He's disabled. He has to wear like a pat. He has to wear like a pat machine, and he has these videos where he's in this big like king size bed, just surrounded by fried chicken, and you just sit there and watch him eat it, and he's like crying and stuff. It's like it truly is like disturbing. Like honestly,
part, because I've seen however many mukbang videos. I know that that's a genre of video. I'm fine with that. But he is like a level of cringe and body horror that nobody, not the scariest, no Stephen King, not what's his name, Junji Ito. No.
You say Stephen King. Remember that part from Stand By Me with the guy who ate so much pie that he exploded?
Dude, it's like worse than that.
That's what's going to happen.
It's worse than the worst of my imagination because he has like mental breakdowns on camera and you just see his big red scary face and he's crying and he's having a mental breakdown and he's shaving his head into his food and he's eating his food and it's disgusting and it's horrifying. It's the most horrifying thing I've ever witnessed in my entire life. The Exorcism can fuck off. Every single horror movie I've ever seen pales in comparison to Nikocado Avocado. It's absolutely, it's the worst body horror I've ever seen in my life. Kevin, stop posting images.
If you just,
of this
Anders,
guy.
if you're curious, if you want to hop on the podcast chat, you can see a nice little sample of what's going on there. He's got a gigantic pile of flaming hot Cheetos, and he doesn't appear to be enjoying them.
Man.
And I think that's
this is not the worst photo. This is not the worst.
This is tame. This is just the first one I found when I looked it up really quick. But it's disturbing. I mean, I guess what's like
giant pile of food. He screams, he cries, he hits himself. He does like body mutilation shit. Like it's.
I mean, that's what it is. Like what's so like, and I don't want to say fascinating, but like it really is indicative of like it feels like the end of the line of like this sort of culture we've created of like independent content creation and getting yourself out there by being shocking or different and doing all these different.
Yeah.
Like this guy's a YouTuber and like he's literally made himself physically disabled by eating so much food on his videos. And like he brags about it too. He's like, I got my diagnosis. I'm disabled now. And he's like got his x-rays and shit. And he's like, I guess his ribs were like some of his ribs were shattered by like the weight, like the excessive weight gain. And he's like just laid up in bed
Lord.
Eating. And he's like got like 13 bags of Wingstop around him or Five Guys or whatever the hell. And that's just like, and I mean, he's got a huge YouTube channel. So it's like, it's almost like, I feel like I've used this comparison a lot with a lot of this kind of stuff, like almost like this like modern Roman gladiator kind of stuff where we're just kind of like spectators watching this like abject horror before us.
I feel like people are causing it because this guy has like
also
millions
yeah
of YouTube subscribers. Yeah. And people just they latch onto it and it's like
I mean most of the comments I do see though are like, dude, you gotta stop. Like I mean, but the problem is he's like probably making a pretty good living doing this, you know?
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, it's just an act." It's like look at this is not an act. This is.
I mean, he's hamming it up a little bit, but I mean, the fact that like remains that he is like literally like his body is decaying in real time. And I mean, it's like I in some way I kind of blame all these like fucking TLC shows. It kind of feels like an extension of that, like these like you know my 600-pound life, yada yada yada. Imagine if those people like had the reins taken off of them, and we're like they don't just have this like season-long show with the producers involved and stuff. We just like all I gotta do is sit in bed and eat chicken, and that's it. And I can get rich as fuck doing it and like wrecking my fucking body. And then again, like you see what he used to look like. And stuff like that. And
like, and it's literal like body horror meshed with cringe. And it's like people are just like goading him on to, I don't, there's obviously like a mental illness aspect to it, but it's like,
I know you bring it up because like we were posting some stuff in our Discord about it.
And I was like,
oh, by the way, great. This is a great time for me to, mention if you scroll down to the episode description, you can join our Discord. Every episode has a link to it. You can hop in, join the conversation, share your favorite Nico Avocado videos.
Don't post them anymore. No. I don't want to look at them.
Grant has humbly asked us not to because he found it to be understandably disturbing.
Here's what my question is with this guy.
This
is very sad.
Yeah.
Very sad story, but what really is the distinction between Nico Avocado and your Johnny Chestnuts, your Kobayashis, your competitive eaters?
That's a good question.
It's okay for them to do it.
That's a very good question. I feel like this is like an extension of that in some way. Like I feel like, I mean, I guess like the obvious answer to your question, Anders, is that those guys don't look like they are feeling the effects of this kind of stuff. You know, whatever Kobayashi does to take care of his body, you know, obviously he doesn't like eat 1,000 hot dogs every day, but he does like do these eating competitions and whatnot, but he doesn't appear to be incurring any, you know, I mean, so far as we can see to the naked eye, that's the thing.
I think there's also, you can sort of draw at least a distinction between like people who are competitive eating for the sake of like being the best at it, or like volume, quantity, however you sort of want to quantify that. I feel like there's a difference between that and people's like morbid fascination with watching a man literally kill himself. And like that's what I feel like this whole channel is watching a person kill themselves. Like that's his entire like story arc is just like, oh, look at me here, look at me now. And it's like, and I've seen people bring up like, oh, he's made videos of like, here's how to fake cry on command and shit. And it's like, look at him, he's killing himself with food.
And like, I mean, like,
this is the most extreme example of anything. And again, like, it speaks to a level of uneasy body horror that I just like, no horror movie has ever made me feel so terrified.
I mean, it speaks to like, in a weird way, kind of the most depraved, like, secret corners of human nature, where it's kind of like, quote unquote, an acceptable act of watching someone slowly kill themselves in some way. It's like, obviously, if you phrase it that way to a normal person, they're going to be like, oh, well, that's horrible. But then it's like, this guy gets millions of views on his video. What is drawing people to it? You know, what is it?
Kind of like a the 4chan set, like people, whatever their there thing is, people coming from there who are, you know, demented.
I don't know,
want people to watch people suffer.
There probably is some crossover to that extent. I don't know.
It feels somewhat Christian-esque. I feel like
it's more of like an aware thing, though. Like it's like, it feels like more of like a weirdly mainstream Christian kind of thing, because it seems like it's like a lot of quote unquote normal people seem to be indulging in this, which is like very strange. I mean, my passing my passing knowledge with this was like, I honestly only watched these videos for the first time today on the train here. No, but I watched them for the first time today because I would see these people post pictures of this person on Twitter for a long time, and like, if you go to this guy's YouTube page, the thumbnails are absolutely terrifying.
They're
like
horrendous.
He picks the absolute most horrifying frame of his video for like to advertise himself, which is weirdly on purpose. And I could be wrong. I'm not positive. I think the other guy in the video might be his boyfriend as well. Who is also like sort of critically obese. Man. It's so.
I'm looking.
And I would say, like, this is how I kind of think that it all ties together in some way. I really do posit that there is a large aspect of this that is sort of from all angles of the situation here, a fetish. I think it's I think this is like I think this is a fetish for him to go through it. It's a fetish for all these people to see it, because it's like if there's like this, like, again, like there's like videos where like him and this guy are like making out and like forcing themselves to eat this food.
Yeah,
it's like this like forced, like,
he's homosexual.
I think so. I mean, whether or not he is, but him and this guy have like
into guys.
Yeah, him and this guy are like physical with each other in some of these videos as they're like eating,
as they're crying and eating large mountains,
a 30-pound bowl of soup or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like we're downplaying the weird shit that happens in the videos, but it's just like, I've seen one, maybe two of these, and I just went, like, we all collectively, we all have to stop. We all have to stop, like, feeding into whatever the fuck this is. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's horrifying.
I just like these things that exist like this are just so I don't know, man. Like, I think like things like this really speak to human nature in very honest and very kind of disturbing ways. Like, sort of, I don't know, this like, what was that thing you mentioned? Like, you mentioned it was like invoking this like abject horror in you before like humans could speak or something. Like, it's just this like this primal response that like made you feel this like sense of like fear as a species of a human.
It's like a Lovecraftian monster. It's just like this cosmic horror like we all know and we all understand that maybe is just this late stage capitalism of people need more money and we're all fucking addicted to money, so we'll literally kill ourselves feeding ourselves to death for money and for clout and for social capital and for all these things, that it's just like it's out of control. It's absolutely out of control, and it's absolutely horrifying. It taps into the part of my brain, the ook return to monkey part of brain.
Yeah,
that it's legitimately horrifying, and I never want to see a fucking photo or thumbnail of this person ever again for the rest of my life. I don't want to see a video. I don't want to see anything.
You could probably mute.
No, because you
Twitter.
shared the fucking photo in the Discord.
I did. I'll delete it right now, so you don't have to look at it the rest of the episode.
Thank you.
Ideally, for you, then, would he give up YouTubing altogether, or do things that are more healthy for himself, or what would he do with his life?
I think that's the punishment. I think is that YouTube kicks him off the platform and says, seek help or whatever.
Honestly, that probably does seem like what should happen.
It's like watching a slow suicide. It's like if someone were sitting on YouTube Live pointing a gun at their head, we'd pull the fucking plug.
It's like a socially acceptable, quote unquote, form of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, yeah, like,
and it sounds like from what you were saying earlier about the competitive eating, like they must have ways to do this that are responsible, right? Like.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I draw a distinction from that just based on the fact that it's like based on the pure horror of like, look at how like it's like cringe taken to the extreme. It's like, watch me scream and cry and throw a temper tantrum and make out with my boyfriend as I'm eating 800 chicken wings. And
again, it feels just so indicative of like, this is what you all asked for when you asked for this internet thing, this whole freedom of expression, freedom of whatever you want out there. And then all these like limits, we just took like everybody on the, like we just took the limits off everything. You know, you go on 4chan, you see this kind of shit. Like this is like you mentioned. Yeah. Like that's a great example, you know? It's just like, this is the end of the line. And now we're seeing like, this is not so good. You know, this is not really,
free and open internet. We always talk about it, and
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, like
it's like, is this what like, we want?
It's less of like, I'm not even saying like there should be restrictions in that regard. I'm saying like we need like just a sense of even like moral fabric or maturity, just to understand like just because something can be done doesn't mean it shouldn't. There's a reason that there's laws in place that murder is illegal. You know, like things like that. Right. Yes, you can do these things. People, like you said, cavemen were bashing each other over the head with rocks, for ages and ages, but it doesn't mean that we stopped doing that. We evolved, we grew, we stopped. And like, this is just another, like in that same vein,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it is very reminiscent of, like elementary school and, that one kid. I hate to use these analogies about, the kid in school who was like this, in this case,
like somebody who like eat glue or something like that. Yeah,
right, for negative attention.
Yes, yes.
However, what if? And I think there's something to something one of you said that there's a sexual element to this, maybe a fetish thing.
Yeah.
What if we're yucking people's yum? What if this is the only way some people can get off is watching Nikocado Avocado eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and slap his boyfriend and cry and make out?
That feels non-consensual to me. That's a whole other aspect of this that it's like
I consent to you watching on YouTube. I don't.
I don't want to think about getting this guy off by
the beauty of Thought Cops is we are authoritarianism to its extreme. So I can just say, Nikocado Avocado, your YouTube channel just no longer. you're just gone.
You're free.
Done.
You're free.
You offend me in every way. You terrify me. And I don't want to look at it anymore. So that's it. No more.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Speaking of us winning, if you haven't listened to Thought Cops before, every week we investigate the internet's outrage-inducing news stories, then sentence each perpetrator to a cruel and often unusual punishment. What story should we start with? I know, Anders, you had brought something up. Should we start with this one?
We could, unless Anders, what was the one you wanted to talk on first? Because I know we went on for a long time about our.
I had to get it out.
It had to be said. It had to be said.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you talking about the CNBC clip?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this one's pretty good.
Do you have a setup for this? What's sort of the story?
Yeah, because I'm not familiar with this. So like, set the stage for me at the very least.
Sure, it's I believe Ireland's finance minister, the Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland, is on Squawk Box, which is a show on CNBC where it's very the concept is in the name. They squawk in a box and say dumb shit, and people eat it up. But they have this guy on who's
Squawk Box. I love that.
Department head. He's the finance minister for Ireland, for entire country, and they seem to be a bit out of their depth when talking to him.
Let's have a look here.
Sure.
Could be its best year ever for foreign direct investment. Plus, a number of top-tier businesses making a home in Ireland thanks to big tax breaks and a highly pro-business environment. Joe, you'd love Ireland. Here to tell us what he's seeing, Martin Shanahan, CEO of IDA Ireland, responsible for foreign direct investment in Ireland. He just took up the post in September, so we should congratulate you on that.
Thank you very much.
What has the weaker euro meant in terms of tourism?
Yes, so I think Ireland's a very globalized economy, so we look to what's happening here as much as we do to what's happening in Europe, and we look to what's happening in growth.
You have pounds anyway, don't you, still?
We have euros.
You have euros in Ireland?
Euros, yes, which has...
Why you have euros in Ireland?
A strong recovery. Why wouldn't we have euros in Ireland?
Huh?
I thought they had gold coins.
Use the pound.
No, we've had the euro for some time, and we're very happy with it.
What about Scotland? I was using Scottish
pounds. Yeah.
Scottish pounds.
Oh my God.
Sterling.
They use sterling.
They use sterling, but we use euro.
What? Why would you do that?
Why wouldn't we do that?
Why didn't Scotland? No wonder they want to break
the
away.
UK, we're not.
Aren't you right next to...
We're very close, but entirely separate. As
sort of the same
well.
How?
And in the north of Ireland, they have sterling.
How do you get this far in this business not knowing this stuff?
It's just too...
That is wild.
I was in awe when I saw that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say. What else to say about that? That's awe-inspiring.
It's not about rigorous analysis. It's about squawking, and I guess they monitor
aptly named,
the U.S.
yeah.
markets. Right. They talk about what's going on the stock market in New York, and they are so just drill down on that you miss the bigger picture. But you gotta know this stuff if you're currencies are important, finance is important. But I think with a lot of Americans, even those of us with Irish descent, don't really understand. And this was me up until a couple of years ago before I looked into it. Before I went to Edinburgh,
I was going to say before you went there. Yes.
Right. I didn't know this stuff either. So I'm not, anyone to judge, but I'm also not running a show about
this is not your fucking job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it just amazes me looking at people like this, and it's like, yeah, I'm like, how do you get a job like this being this incompetent? Like,
well, it's amazing to me the confidence he said it with. Just like, why don't you have this? Why don't you have the pound?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. He's like,
this is it. It's sort of a casual decision that they're thinking through.
Yeah. Have you ever considered just going with a euro? Have you ever thought about it? Like the guy's going to make a decision right then and there. and he's the one to do it.
I mean, yeah, this is like someone coming from Canada down to the United States, or someone from like Ireland coming to the U.S. and being like, why don't you use the loony? Canada likes them. They'd go over pretty well down here.
Yeah, just like a random guy at a gas station. Like, why don't you guys take loonies here? What, you ever think about that?
I mean, yeah.
By the way, my job is involving money for a living, and I you know.
Or Kevin, like
I did
you said,
have.
like, yeah, go ahead.
And this is, you know, what I guess I should be embarrassed by this, but I remember when I went to Scotland from Ireland, I was trying to use Euro to get a train pass, and I asked this guy, like, what the fuck, why isn't it working? I was polite, of course, as all good Americans are.
What the fuck am I doing here? Yeah,
he was just like, it's not British money. The fuck? And I had to apologize profusely, but if I had, at least I didn't start arguing with him, like, why don't you guys get Euro? Can you do that for me? I'd like to speak to your manager.
And nor are you the host of the Squawk Box.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yes.
Let's not jinx that.
I mean, I'm assuming that's what this is kind of all building towards. Pod Damn America, you know, eventually you're looking to get, you know, when a seat opens up on Squawk Box, you know, Anders may, you know, throw his hat in the ring and see what happens.
That's what everybody dreams of before they do their first open mic.
It's true. I do remember in 2019 landing in London and everyone being like, what do you think about the news? Or they would be like, what do you think about the news, am I? You know, how they talk about it.
They do talk a little different.
Yeah, they talk a little different. And they're like, right there, mate. Good day. What you been thinking about them newsin'?
That felt like 5 accents in one. Like one. I heard Australian. I heard
what news? And like as I was on the airplane going to the UK, they were like, "Oh yeah, Brexit is like finalized. Like that's it. No more. It's done. You landed. It's Brexit. They did it." And I was like,
while you were in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Boris Johnson. I don't really know what happens over there. But anyway, yeah, this dude's
wait, well, this was in 2019? In like the August?
Yeah.
It's funny. I left London right as I think Bojo became prime minister, I want to say.
Around that time,
called the election. Yeah. So I have a similar memory of that in the UK.
But yeah, this dude on the Squawk Box, he's basically doing racism. He's like, how come, like Kevin said, like, how come you don't use the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow?
Yeah.
How come you're wearing all green right now?
I'm going to pinch you.
How come you're not 3 feet tall and red haired?
And so on and so forth. Yeah.
Now I'm realizing this is how stupid he is he was trying to show off. I think this is a possibility. He was trying to show off that he knows that there are 2 different currencies in Europe. That in Britain, they use the pound, and in the rest of Europe, they use the euro. And a lot of Americans don't know that. But a lot of Americans also don't know. Right. He knows that, but he doesn't, like a lot of us, unfortunately, realize that Ireland, except for Northern Ireland, is not part of the UK. It's an independent country. Seemed to completely escape him.
I got a good punishment, though.
Kind of a big deal over there.
Let's make it simple. Let's all use the same currency, you know?
That's what
let's all
globalists want.
I'm talking about the universal loony. We're all going loony, you know? We're all taking... Everybody, Ireland, America, England, we're all, Japan, Korea, the loony.
That was an idea Keynes had, actually, to have a universal worldwide currency. But the dependent factor on that is everybody actually doing it fairly and not trying to gouge and fuck over the poor countries.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But maybe one day.
That'll never happen. That'll never happen until we overthrow every government. That'll never happen.
Speaking of wise...
I mean, when I get on Squawk Box, I'm going to promote that idea, the universal...
Thank you, Anders. You're a champion of the people.
Have a lot of influence. Yeah.
Thank you. I would really, really appreciate that. If I don't get the job myself, if you get it, we may be fighting for that same seat, but if you get it, I trust you to do the right thing.
They may give it to both of us, like a New York Times split endorsement deal. We both get Squawk Box host.
That would be incredible.
Hey, why do we even need money? Let's just get rid of it.
Speaking of wise,
I agree with that ultimately.
Wise financial decisions. Let's talk NFTs. Let's talk specifically about this one that's on the market right now. Anders, if you can see that there, Lindsay Lohan is advertising her. She's thrown her hat in the ring here for the NFT circuit. Now, if you can see what's going on here, Lindsay Lohan is a furry, apparently. This is her fursona.
She commissioned a furry painting.
If one commissions a fursona, a furry painting of themselves, they are a furry. So Lindsay Lohan is a furry.
Lindsay Lohan furry NFT is now in my Google search history.
So how much we plunking down for this? I wonder. Let's see. Now, I don't exactly know how this works. This is actually my first time looking at this website.
I guess top bid is $1,600.
Does that seem fair, Anders? $1,600 for this picture of what animal is that? Is it a wolf?
It's a dog.
So somewhere in the canine family, of course.
I think all furries are basically the same animal.
No, that's not true.
No,
I've
they're
seen
all like the same.
I've seen a wide variety of
they're all
the animal kingdom.
They are.
It's like
I've mostly just seen canines. Yeah, you don't see like a rhino furry very often, or an alligator.
I've seen all kinds of. I've seen all species of the animal kingdom represented in all sorts of sexy and revealing ways. And now I can finally plunk down some cold hard cash for them.
Are you bidding on this?
I'm going to do it right now. Grant, what's your code number?
What's my Ethereum wallet number?
Give me your 3-digit in the back of your card.
I couldn't begin to tell you. You need an Ethereum wallet to use OpenSea.
Well, go ahead and put your info in.
Yeah, I don't have one of those.
So, I feel like every day I go on Twitter or wherever, and I see something like this, and it's just like it surprises me, but it doesn't surprise me. It's just like, this just seems to be this modern world we live in now.
It's the convergence. It's there's no distinguishing between the internet and real life. It's all the same shit. Once we voted in the guy from Twitter, that's it. We're done.
If you told me, perhaps in 2011 or even 2016 that in just a few short years you could purchase a picture of Lindsay Lohan's fursona for what is getting close to $2,000, and I'm not talking about a painting. I'm talking about a
file.
A PNG.
A file that's destroying the Amazon rainforest.
If you told me that, I'd probably call you crazy.
Right.
I'm going to be honest. I probably would.
Yeah.
But here we are, and year 2021, year of our Lord.
Year of my Lord.
And what else is there to say? I mean,
I have a observation here,
and
I'll try not to be too gratuitous, but the artist who did this made a very interesting choice, and that was to not make the furry version of Lindsay Lohan very, shall we say, well endowed or buxom.
You know what? That's a good point.
A lot of these, the temptation in a lot of these instances is to go full on Dolly Parton with the
right
chest area. But
very modest.
This person held back. Yeah.
Right.
And I admire that in a way.
Yeah. You got to wonder if perhaps, maybe they would have be getting some higher bids if they chose to go with something a little more, shall we say, scandalous. But, it is what it is. And this may have been a creative choice on Lindsay's behalf. We don't know. We really don't know.
Dogs don't have big breasts.
But what if they did, Anders? What if they did? That would be something different.
It would be, yeah.
If I had my dogs walking around with huge tits dragging on the floor, that would be, I'd be like, that's something different.
Well, that happens when they're pregnant, but like,
no, I'm talking like big, big old, chest jugs.
Most animals, I don't know if most people know this. We're going to do a quick biology lesson. Most mammals, their breasts grow and shrink. So like, your dog gets pregnant, they go through this process, but then they go back. And human beings, it's not quite so.
Not quite the case.
Of a fixed ordeal.
Do you ever feel jealous?
I don't know how to answer that.
Something to think about.
Jealous of other species, or
jealous of the fluctuating.
Well, it doesn't happen with like male animals.
What if you had udders? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I would be. I mean,
I do.
Animal.
After quarantine, I do arguably have breasts. Put on some pounds, but
it happens to the best of us.
Take them.
So,
speaking of the best of us, what's the punishment here?
I just really quick. I just saw there is I know who they're talking about in the article. It's somebody on Twitter, but what was that CNN you had open there?
It was Rolling Stone magazine.
Rolling Stone magazine. I just saw a quote where they just said quote said space twinks.
I don't know.
Which that's some person on Twitter, but it's just funny to see in text on Rolling Stone's like quote space twinks said.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, not exactly my kind of thing. I wouldn't. This. I do work hard for the money that I make, and I don't really see myself plunking down what is reasonably more than 1 month of rent. For a file of this character. It's not for me.
Right. Speaking of not for the people, what else we got here?
So how are we doing on time?
We're at like one.
Let's do one more.
10. We'll do one more story. Got a couple. Maybe we. I'm a sucker for a video. But let's
keep this one simple.
Let's run through the options here. We have Cenk Uygur versus Joe Rogan. They're gonna do a fist fight. We have Kyrsten Sinema girl bossing too close to the sun. We have another senator saying Jim. I think. Whatever. Another person in the government saying we need to put an end to finsta, which is hilarious. Lucy Lawless and uncancel culture. I think those are basically the best options.
I kind of felt like I felt like there was a little bit of gravitation to the finsta thing.
It's good.
I'm curious about that.
Anders, have you seen this?
Yes, I have. Blumenthal, right? Richard Blumenthal.
Yes.
I admittedly did not know what a finsta was before that video, but it was still funny. Even funnier when I looked it up.
Well, let's just say, what is a finsta exactly? It's like a private Instagram account?
Right? It's sort of like if I am, I don't know, who's a famous person?
Lindsay Lohan.
If I'm Lindsay Lohan, right? And I have like my public account on Instagram, and it's all of my like photos that I put out for everyone to see, but then I also have
pictures of yourself as a sexy wolf.
Exactly. I have all those photos out there, but if I have like my close friends and family and I just want to post photos of like my little brother and I don't want people to see like some of those photos and stuff like that, I have my own personal what's called a finsta.
And that's the Thought Cop's word of the week this week.
Hey, 2 birds, 1 stone. So that's our explanation of it. Let's hear someone else give their explanation of it.
Will you commit to ending finsta?
Senator, again, let me explain. We don't actually do finsta. What finsta refers to is young people setting up accounts where they may want to have more privacy. You refer to it as privacy from their parents. What in my interaction with teens, what I found is that they sometimes like to have an account where they can interact just with a smaller group of friends.
Well, Finsta is one of your Finsta is one of your products or services. We're not talking here about Google or Apple. It's Facebook, correct?
Finsta is
so you think this guy has like a kid who's like trying to hide their information from him, and he's like, I want them to unlock their account.
Yeah, that must be it.
I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're asking. What I can say is that based on what we've seen in terms of teens using those kinds of accounts, we've actually given them additional privacy options to address those kinds of issues where they want more privacy so that they can have more privacy.
Okay.
Well, I don't think that's an answer to my question.
It doesn't sound like it.
It's not an answer to your question because you're fucking too stupid to ask the right question.
And Finsta is like not exactly the official nomenclature that they use for these websites. It's just like a shorthand that people. It's slang. Yeah.
Right. I remember the first time I ever came across one of these. It was no photo. It had the name of a local weatherman in the Twin Cities, and I was like, "Oh my God, Sven Lundergaard, or whatever the hell his name was." And I couldn't see anything on his profile. And I was like, "Oh, this is a new innovation, Facebook. This should be illegal." I mean, the stance used to be for parents, and I feel like it still is for normal parents, is that you would prefer that your kid be private. Like I remember my to show her my MySpace and like make sure that my address wasn't on it, because kids, back in the day were stupid enough to just put their address on MySpace. But yeah, I don't understand why that's an issue for parents that kids are doing private accounts. It's like so you can't see their posts. Is that the problem? They could just text their friends. You can't see texts either. Like,
yeah. What
is the issue?
That's definitely the vibe I got from that clip. Like this guy had a personal reason for being like, there's somebody's account that he wanted to be unlocked, and he got upset that it wasn't unlocked for him, and he was like, but what if we got the law involved?
Yeah.
I think that might be part of it. Part in like, correct me if I'm wrong, because this was my overall interpretation, and this goes to like, when she said to him, I don't know if you know what you're talking about, but this is my take. It's for privacy, blah, blah, blah. And then he pleaded his case to her yet again. And what he said was, but we're talking about Finsta. We're not talking about Google or Apple. We're talking about Finsta. I think,
a clear misunderstanding.
I think part of him sort of thinks that he was talking about that he got confused in his head that Facebook owns Instagram, and I think he thought that Finsta was just like a website. Like, are you gonna stop Finsta? Are you gonna turn off the Finsta? Like, that's what it sounded like he was thinking.
How do you stop getting ratioed on Twitter? Can we turn that off?
Yeah, right. I'm being told that I have bad takes. Is there a way you can fix that? Make it so the takes are good?
People queef. Motherfucker.
People queef?
People queef.
They do be queefing. They do be queefing.
God damn it. People keep tweeting. That was my.
You shouldn't be able to queef on people via Facebook, I think.
Why does it happen? People keep tweeting Sopranos memes at me. How do I get it to stop? Was the joke. That was the joke.
That was honestly
queef instead.
No, that was worth it. I didn't
the payoff.
I didn't see that coming. I'll be honest. I for all the stumbling and the waiting, I did not see the Sopranos thing coming at
to me. The stumbling became part of the experience of the bit, really.
Yeah, I think that it was sort of felt like performance art.
Yeah, this is my life. It's performance art in the same way that Nikocado Avocado is performance art.
You're putting yourself on that same level. You're putting
at the end of the day, we're all him.
I think that's the thing about it is we kind of do see a little bit of ourselves. Like you see a video from him and you're like, if I just like took off the chains of like the moral responsibilities I was taught in elementary school, and I just thought about like just taking those off. Yeah, sure, I could end up like that guy. Absolutely. There's a bunch of people you see out, on the streets, on the internet, wherever, and you think to yourself, like, if I took like one different turn in my life, that could have been me.
That could all be us.
Yeah. So I hear you.
What are we talking about?
Finsta. Yeah, the pun. Let's go. We gotta punish it though.
These are the people that are passing our laws. I'm so fucking. Real quick, can I just group these two things in together? Because these are both senators, and I just want to bring this up real quick because I saw this and it pissed me off. And again, these are both senators. These are both the people. You got the two genders here, okay? On one gender, you have an old man who's trying to say a word he doesn't know the meaning of. On the other hand, you have this Axios article saying Kyrsten Sinema's allies have some free advice for anyone trying to bully the wine-drinking triathlete into supporting Joe Biden's $3.5 trillion budget bill. She doesn't play by Washington's rules, and she's prepared to walk away. These are the people that are passing laws for us, are people who don't know the words of the legislation that they're trying to pass, and wine-drinking women. These are the two genders on display for everybody. I am so sick of living in this country. Much like Kyrsten Sinema, I am prepared to walk away too.
I think the obvious punishment here... Oh, go ahead, Anders.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, what was their staffer's advice to the people who are trying to get her to, let kids not die?
I've already erased it from my brain, but I'll reopen
it.
Okay. The free advice is she doesn't play by Washington's rules, and she's prepared to...
Oh, you said that. I'm sorry.
Well, it was such a bloviated sentence.
Yeah.
So I think government shutdown.
All right. Let's shut everything down.
Yeah.
Shut the world down again. Let's
take a breather.
Do the lockdown again. We didn't learn from it last time.
That's another, on the show, you go over irritating aspects of social media.
Yeah.
And in some ways it's gotten worse, but one way it's gotten better, as I was seeing this week, people were digging up old Kyrsten Sinema tweets, for when she was a little more progressive and she would say things that we would generally agree with. But a lot of her tweets were just like doing laundry. And that was what people tweeted in like 2011. And I think we've made, some improvement on
True.
Yeah, this show's all about growth.
Yeah, we're not posting our lunch anymore. We're posting pictures of Tony Soprano doing hecking praxis.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on here. We
Speaking
did
word
of
Tony
the
Soprano. Let's put a bullet in it.
Yeah, we did word of the week already, which is Finsta. Key to the city this week. Key to the city. Oh boy. My key to the city this week goes to again something positive, something nice for a change here. I played through the game No More Heroes 3 this past couple weeks here on the Switch. Anders, I don't know if you ever heard of this series of video games. Like the first two were on the Wii. And then like 10 years go by and we have a third one on the Switch. And
third person on the mic right now, too.
And a visitor here as well. But it was not even like just as a video game, but like as an experience with like a modern piece of media. Oh my
God, is that Lindsay Lohan's
we did
that just walked on screen?
Yeah, we are the highest bidders. We do have, we're looking at her live in the flesh, worth every penny,
live in the fur,
worth every cent. But no More Heroes 3 was a great game. I played through the whole thing, and it's a very kind of like subversive game. It's like hyper violent, but like I don't know. It was very funny. In a way that I feel like it hit a lot of notes for me that like, it's kind of like a janky kind of a beat 'em up 3D action game, but the whole I really, really enjoyed it. So if anybody's out there listening, thinking of getting it, I highly recommend it. If you're looking for any sort of modern media that's kind of like fresh and interesting and funny and just overall creative, I very much so recommend that game. And if you didn't play the first two, they also brought those to the Switch as well, and they're pretty cheap, and those are also good.
Is this based on the NBC show about the cheerleader with superpowers?
No, that's
it's about the opposite of
there is No More Heroes on NBC, but that is separate from the experience. You play basically the chiller or the hero is Travis Touchdown, and he's basically
That's a great name.
I think that they based him off of Johnny Knoxville, and he has this like homemade beam katana that he has to like kill these like 10 assassins. But then the games progress. In the third game, he's the top dog in the game, but then these like aliens invade from outer space, and now he has to be the top assassin in the galaxy, basically. So a lot of fun genre meshing and stuff like that. But it's hard to like describe, but overall I would say it's a great experience. But no more heroes talk. Anders, anything great you want to mention to us this week? Anything positive, swell, nice?
Oh boy, great question. The Germany just in Berlin passed. They're going to be expropriating housing from the rich, giving it back to the people. So that's cool.
I saw
We're
that.
gonna be talking yeah. When we're going to be talking about that on Pod Damn America this weekend. And as far as media,
it doesn't have to be media. It could be literally anything, you know?
Yeah.
Literally anything. The Rocketeer. I rewatched that recently.
Disney movie with the guy who flies around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the jetpack. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And Computer Solitaire. Still a great game. A lot of people quit playing it, but I'm still at it, and I have a ton of fun doing it. So that's a lot of fun. Broadcast News, also a great film people should watch.
Oh, four keys to the city in one episode. Very nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I should have
prepared more for that.
No, you say you should have prepared more, but you gave us like 4 times what we would expect. So color me impressed.
It was off the dome.
Color me purple.
Oh boy.
Color me purple. That's right.
This guy, well, let's just say you need to see a doctor for that one, my friend.
Oh boy, do I.
Doc, I love the color purple.
My key to the city this week is Seinfeld, now streaming on Netflix. Now I can finally rewatch it.
It's on Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
They announced it like a year or two ago, but it's on like today.
I was going to say I know it's on Hulu already. What do they move it off?
I don't know, probably. It's on Netflix now.
That's cool. Shit, man.
So that's my key. That's all.
We should watch some Seinfeld after this.
I'm down.
Well, let's wrap the episode up so we can watch it.
There used to be a website that would just play all of Seinfeld on a loop continuously.
Crackle? I remember it was on Crackle
There's a
first.
website just for that. It was like, it would play on a loop on Crackle.
Was it TBS? I know TBS seems to be. TBS seems to be.
No, it was a what? It was a.
I was just going to say TBS. Now I got to talk about it. No, TBS seems to be playing a continuous cycle of Seinfeld, Family Guy, and The Big Bang Theory.
I was going to say, are you sure you don't mean the Seinfeld advertisement on the bus in Chicago that drives around the loop?
Yeah, I see that too. I see Seinfeld every
day. Oh, that's right. You got over there.
I do love that. How like, and I don't know if this is exclusive to Chicago, but we still have billboards for Seinfeld everywhere. Seinfeld, King of Queens, what's that? Mike and Molly, shows like that, like shows that have been like off the air, but are in syndication. But it's on these like local Chicago stations. Every fucking bus has that picture of Jerry Seinfeld, like, and it's like Seinfeld 3 times a week.
A ton of those sitcoms take place in the Chicagoland area. Like, according to Jim, all that stuff. I feel like they, middle America, but
that's true. Sort of that's true.
Metropolitan.
I also
just we're wrapping up. Go
ahead.
I was just gonna mention, you know how you get songs stuck in your head? Once that happened to me with Seinfeld, just the rhythm of Seinfeld, when I worked at a video store. It came out on DVD, which was a big deal in 2007.
Yeah.
I put it on in the background, and I was working with Seinfeld on in the background. And then when I got home, I couldn't fall asleep because I just had the rhythm of a Seinfeld episode just stuck in my brain. Like the laugh track, the bass riff, Kramer entering a room, just like on loop in my head. It was...
I have had that happen to me too, and it is a weird phenomenon because it's like, why is this like playing in my head? Sometimes like podcasts do that for me too. It's like, really? not as pleasant, not as pleasant as a song in your head.
There's like a rhythmic ebb and flow of just the vibrations of the universe, channeling them into Nick Mullen's voice, and we all just pick up on it, and we're just like, yeah, that's it. This explains everything. But I wanted to pull this up real quick because I feel like we've mentioned this a couple times on the show, but this bus with the Seinfeld ad on it crashing into the Sears Tower, and you can see Jerry Seinfeld just like doing his shrug with his hands up as the bus crashes into our tallest building is one of the funniest images.
One time I was...
What are you gonna do? I'm autistic. We can't drive.
Like one time I was at a bar like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's like, 1 or 2 in the morning, we're outside and my friends are smoking cigarettes and stuff. And completely out of the blue, I see this guy get hit by one of these buses, like on foot.
My God.
Like I just see his body like flip around the side of the bus. And like, I'm just like,
Jesus.
And I'm standing there like still like, kind of drunk still from being at the bar all night. And it took me like maybe 5 or 10 seconds to register what I just saw. And like, he didn't die, but like, just seeing this guy flip, like his body, like flailing around the side of the bus after he gets hit by it, like by a bus.
Seinfeld shrugging.
And that was like potentially could have been the last thing he ever saw, but thank God it wasn't. But this guy, and then like, he's like laying in the street, like, yelling in pain, and like everybody comes out and like helps the guy, but it was just like so bizarre. It's one of those like random memories I think about like once every like 6 months or something. I'm like, oh yeah, that was weird. Hope he's okay.
That sounds like something Theo Avocado is going to do in his next video.
Yeah.
See if you can take it.
Yeah.
That might be where he's headed.
That's where society is heading that way.
His demise will be on camera. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Boy.
YouTube
That'll
will
make great Netflix stock, I bet. Just like so all the footage will be there, and they can comb through the demise of Mr. Avocado. What's his name again?
Nico Avocado. It's Nico Avocado or Nico Avocado. I don't know, something like that. But
everything.
Okay.
Just don't.
Right. Yeah, you're probably
remember it.
Better off, Anders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not remember his name.
Yeah.
You're better off that way. But I mean, yeah, ever since Chris Chan was on Tucker Carlson, I don't doubt that something's going to happen with Nikocado.
YouTube is just the new Live Leak, basically, because they shut down Live Leak. And now it's like people got to get their sick kick somehow, I guess. Yeah. So anyway.
Should have kept them separate. Now look at what we got.
Speaking of sick kicks, though, before we move on to our final segment of the show, which is our listener voicemails, Anders, if you can go ahead, just plug everything you want to plug, any, social media, where can we find your podcasts, everything like that.
Sure. At Anders Lee here on Twitter, Dursley1 on Instagram. Podcast is Pod Damn America. You can find that on the podcast app or wherever you find a podcast. We also have a Patreon with lots of fun bonus content and Redacted Tonight can be found if you don't have cable, and they're taking RT off the air in a lot of places, unfortunately, because we're foreign agents. But you can find most of our stuff on YouTube, and we also have an app. Portable is the app, portable.tv. You can go to portable.tv as well and watch full episodes on there.
Excellent.
Cool. Well, like Kevin said, our final segment of the show is voicemails. If you want to send us a voicemail, 312-788-7361, or you can send us an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. MP3s are, of course, preferred. And as a result of everyone leaving us a voicemail last week saying we should no longer have guests on the show, we're no longer having voicemails on the show. That's right. All your voicemails have been cut for this episode. There's no voicemails.
We didn't have any?
We had so many, and we just were playing none of them.
Hold on.
Voicemails, and I'm putting my foot down.
No, we got. I want to hear from these folks. We got some.
No, we didn't get any.
And I'm looking at one right here from Leo.
Where? He left this when we were recording. Everyone needs to leave their voicemails earlier. He's the only voicemail then. Now I have to download.
No, there's this other one here from like 12:35 today.
That's a spam text message.
Let's see what it says. No, I'm just kidding.
See what it says. I'm interested. I want to know. What does it say?
Let's see here.
Oh, he says racing to your voicemail. Yeah, Leo, next time maybe race a little bit quicker because we're in the middle of recording a show right now. Do you got that? Do you got it up? Did you get it?
It's no good.
Oh, it's no good. All right. Well, let me pull Leo's voicemail up right here. Look at this lack of white noise.
I'm hearing a lot of white noise this episode. That's pretty much all I'm hearing.
Not white noise. Hey, white noise, that's the title of my autobiography. Let's play this voicemail.
Hello, Thought Cops. Once again, it is I, Leo the Incredible, gracing your voicemail. And this week was a struggle, gentlemen. You know, I'm trying the new thing, reporting on thought crimes, but there was very little worth reporting. But I did notice a trend. I don't know if it's so much a crime as it's a consequence of poor actions or poor planning, but I have noticed what I'll term as taking the keys back from the child. And specifically, I'm referring to media. So, what do I mean by taking those keys back? Look at the Ghostbusters movies. The new one coming out. Ivan Reitman.
There's a new Ghostbusters.
I don't know. Who's the son? I don't know. The Reitmans got the Ghostbusters back. They took the keys away from Sony, said you did a bad job. Star Wars looking to take back its property, take the keys back and give it back to George Lucas. Doctor Who, let's give those keys back to Russell T. Davies.
Oh, that's true.
So all these prequels, giving the keys to the kids to try to do something else with all of these properties, it hasn't worked. Is it a crime? I don't know. Is it a sign of the times? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Can Konami pull off Metal Gear without Kojima?
No.
We'll find out, but something tells me Kojima's going to get the keys back. Gentlemen, it's not a crime, merely an observation, and I hope you have a wonderful Friday evening.
I think it's a crime. I think anything we deem to be a crime is a crime.
I didn't know about a lot of that stuff, actually.
Are most of your listeners and callers supervillains?
Only a few of them.
A good majority, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, he was
sounded like
the only caller this week, so thanks a lot, guys.
The only one who left an appropriate voicemail, I'll say that much. But yeah, Leo, thank you. It's a good question. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were considering handing back Star Wars to George Lucas. So if that's true, that's interesting.
They're going to make more. Well, I guess of course they're going to make more. But what are they going to make now? Are they going to do even prequels even further back? Are they going to jump forward or what?
That's a good question. Yeah.
More stars, more wars. Just they're doing it all.
Okay. I'd see a Lando movie with Donald Glover. I think that would be cool.
They'll probably do that.
Hopefully that's in the works.
But I mean, like, just the intellectual property like game these days is just so exhausting because, like he said, there's just been all these like Hollywood doesn't know what to do with a lot of these like big properties where they just like they'll just pump something out, doesn't work, we'll give it back to so and so. That doesn't work, we'll take it back, do this, and it's like nobody's really getting anything substantial. It feels
like I do feel like a lot of these properties, they don't come up because they're large intellectual properties. That's not why they're popular. That's not why they're famous. It's because like an artist created something. They took something, some part of their life, some part of their consciousness, some part of their creativity, and they put it into something, and then from that something created like a big cultural phenomenon. And it's like, we took the cultural phenomenon part and said, we'll just create more shit out of this cultural phenomenon. And it's like, it doesn't work. Like Leo is correct that it's like, it's taking the keys back because it's like, you can't have 80,000 people driving a car. You have one person driving a car, and then you got a bunch of people in the back seat, and it's like, yeah.
And he's in the chat here. He mentioned as well that lawsuit over the Spider-Man with was it Steve Ditko or whatever,
or his estate.
Yeah. Like it's trying to take back that from Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. There's the Doctor Who thing. Because Russell T Davies like rebooted the franchise in like the early 2000s, and like a lot of his episodes were really good, and then they were handed off to another guy, and it just became like unwatchable garbage. And now he's like back, and it's like, let's just like the people that are good at this stuff, like let's let them do it. Let's just hand shit back and forth between J.J. Abrams and the other guy, and then give it back to J.J. Abrams. Like, let's have the people that make these things actually make them. We don't need. And
if they don't make them, then we don't need them for a while. We don't have to have a Star Wars every year. We understand. We are adults. We understand object permanence. If Star Wars doesn't come out for a year, we know that it didn't go bye-bye. We know it still exists. You know, we can watch the old movies, and when a new one comes out, yeah, maybe I'll see it, maybe not. But that's kind of like where we are with a lot of media now, where everything has to be constantly in our faces, because if it's not, they're worried that we're going to forget about it.
Right.
And then they fuck it up and they give it back to so-and-so. So what does IO Netrunner say? If we only let people who are good at making stuff make this podcast is going to be shut down. Oh, that's funny. So he's kind of trying to flip it back on us.
That's good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Roasted.
Got our asses. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny if we handed the keys to somebody else, and then they did a bad job, and then
Disney, feel free to buy Thought Cops from us,
and then drive it into the ground.
We'll start at $1 billion.
We'll get the money, and then you fuck it up, and we'll take it back, and we'll start doing the show like it never left. Sounds good to me. Anyway, yeah, that was the only voicemail we had this week. But if you want to give us a call of your own, let us know what's bothering you. 312-788-7361. Or you can always send us a MP3 file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. And that about wraps it up. Anders, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for indulging us with a lot of... we went to a lot of weird corners of
absolutely
recesses of our minds this week. So thank you for coming along for the ride.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And thanks for letting me go there.
Absolutely. Happy to have you.
Anytime.
Happy to have you. And thank you everybody for listening. Again, if you want to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/thoughtcops. Toss us a few bucks. You get a lot of extra bonus content and cool stuff. You can hang out in the live chats here on every episode. It's a good time. I recommend it, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
See you, Space Cop.